getting a little bit set up. I'm John here for MTG Nexus, coming at you with some more Modern here. As a friendly reminder, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing on YouTube, giving us a follow here on Twitch, as we're going to be the most informative channel for the Modern format. So, Midnight Modern stream number 7, Mono Red Prison, way back in time. I believe a Doyle might have had us play this. It is a deck that is basically unlike any other almost in Modern. The nearest deck trying to do something similar is either Ponza with its Blood Moon Blow Up the Lands plan, or Eldrazi Tron with its Chalice plan. This deck just isn't trying to play fair. It's trying to abuse what fast mana remains in the format in the form of Gemstone Caverns if you're on the draw, Desperate Ritual, and Simeon's Spirit Guide to do a fast Chalice of the Void, a fast Blood Moon, a fast Planeswalker, a fast Ensnaring Bridge, empty your hand, and kind of go to town from there. You arbitrarily win with things like Chandra Awakened Inferno, Chandra Torch of Defiance, or whatever Karn the Great Creator happens to go get out of the Wish board. Beyond that, you have some Abrades for early interaction, some Seasoned Pyromancer to put some bodies in play, maybe pressure other Planeswalkers, cycle through your deck a little bit, and then you have some Zelfrun Voids here to scry a little bit to improve your draw steps, and a new addition, Maze Mind Tome, which helps to improve your draw steps a little bit, which can be a key problem in a deck like this that has no virtual card selection outside of its heavy-hitting Planeswalkers. Karn the Great Creator, obviously a very important card, gives you access to a bunch of different stuff in the sideboard. Looks like the main stuff you're looking at is Ensnaring Bridge, Walking Ballista, Torpor Orb, Sorcerer's Spyglass, Liquid Metal Coating. I'm honestly surprised the 4th Ensnaring Bridge isn't in the sideboard of this, but oh no, it is right there. You know, this is basically your main prison element to stay alive against a lot of decks. Ensnaring Bridge, Liquid Metal Coating. Obviously, if you know what Karn does, you know what this does. Sorcerer's Spyglass, pretty good at shutting down Planeswalkers. Torpor Orb. A lot of different things this can shut down. I'm not quite sure why you'd want 2 of them. I know goblins and humans are a thing, but really, is that what you want to be doing with 2 slots in your sideboard? Walking Ballista, obviously, to gun down your opponent's board and alternate win con. 3 copies of Relic of Progenitus. It's nice to have Graveyard Hate. Dragon's Claws, because one of the matchups this deck is historically bad against is Burn, because while it can do a good job at shutting down certain portions of decks, it often struggles against any type of deck that can get around Ensnaring Bridge on the attack front. 2 copies of Anger of Gods as your final sideboard cards to kind of help shore up the aggressive decks. Beyond that, once again, if your hate cards don't work, you get destroyed. If your hate cards do work, you tend to do very, very, very well. So, I have played similar decks to this in the past. We've played this deck before a long time ago. And then we also played the red-white Planeswalkers prison deck, which was, I believe, was pushed forward by Todd Stevens when he was still a part of the Magic community, before he kind of got exiled to oblivion for some of his life choices. But yeah. Going to be an interesting league. Could be very fast. Could grind on forever. We're not exactly trying to play fair Magic here. Yes, I'd like to be on the play. This hand does basically nothing. So it's a mulligan. This hand does things, but not a lot. So we're really relying on the Zelfrun Void to find us another land. I do think we keep this hand, though, potentially bottoming either the 2nd Blood Moon or Chandra, maybe? we're really leaning hard into Blood Moon with this hand. Definitely keeping. Backup Raid. That way we have some insulation against discard spells. That's a rough one. So we really want to land, but can we really afford to bottom a mana source? I think we'll go ahead and keep it here. Hopefully our opponent's weak to Blood Moon. Otherwise, this hand does basically nothing. So, basic Island Chromatic Star. We up against... I have no idea what we're up against. Let's be honest, I have no idea. Some type of Urza deck, perhaps? Yep. What you got, friend? We just go ahead and concede here. So funny part is I think our deck's fine in this matchup. Don't summon anything. We could arguably bring in Relic. I think I'm supposed to bring in like a Relic or two over. Yeah, too late now. It's possible I was supposed to bring in like a Relic or two over. I can't keep this hand. Seems like turn 3 Chandra. Snare and Merge doesn't really accomplish a whole lot. And we don't not keep this hand, I suppose. Back Chalice and Braid. They have Force of Negation, they have Force of Negation, it's kind of whatever. Sure if I'm supposed to chalice on 0 or not. Could stop a Mox potentially. I don't know if they play them or not, so. Yep. Guess this was going to be a fast league one way or the other. So our opponent is being a bit snippy about the basically turn 0 Blood Moon. But, you know, if they don't have basic island there, does their hand function? I mean, kind of, maybe. Alternatively, the only other plan we could have is hope to rip a mana source and, you know, maybe make a turn 1 or turn 2 or turn 3 Karn, which we can't guarantee won't get hit by like a Metallic Rebuke or something. So, you know, when you're playing this deck, you're going in knowing full well that your game plan is very suspect, to put it nicely. Turn 2 Blood Moon or turn 3 Planeswalker seems reasonable enough. I'll be not the best, but, you know, all it takes is a Simian Spirit Guide or something to drop us on turn 1. Okay, so looks like Ad Nauseam. It's funny, there used to be openings where this would be Amulet, but now it's like Ad Nauseam's like the sole deck that would do. Spyro good enough here? Don't think so. which will... I think I actually just play Karn here. Yeah, it's like legitimately the card their deck can't stop. Like, if that gets into play, their game plan gets a lot harder. Once again, this is one of the weaknesses of this style of deck. You know, you're very glass cannon all in. This actually in some ways bails them out a little bit. It turns Gemstone Cavern into a permanent mana source. Stern Bridge not particularly relevant. Hopefully we don't exile a Karn here. Dissolve for Void. Okay. Cross our fingers and hope we're not dead. Double basic planes is kind of weird for Ad Nauseam, though, isn't it? Okay, the old value Ad Nauseam. Can even grab here. Grab liquid metal coating. Plus Chandra for mana. Play that out. Upkeep, stop one of your lands, I suppose. Indeed, when in doubt, blow up lands. Mana Monkey beatdown plans. Seems good. Alright, sideboarding. So Chalice on 0 and Chalice on 1 is relevant in the matchup. Honestly, tonight it was completely random. I saw Ghost X playing against Red Prison earlier, and then I saw a Red Prison list come up on the 5-0 deck dumps. Normally, last couple nights has been donation deck lists. Normally, I stick to, like, burn, prowess, whatever, because it's the main thing on the channel. Tonight, I just honestly wanted to play something off the wall and fun after the grind that was Allurin over the last day and a half. Because in addition to the 2 hours I streamed of it last night, I think I stared at it for another hour plus today. So I wanted something that was kind of, I don't even want to say brainless, but basically brainless. Braids are good, Maze Mind Tome's good, Blood Moon's fine against them. I think the deck overall seems fine. Chalice on 0 can be relevant against Pact. Chalice on 1 can be relevant against Angel's Grace specifically. But our hardest hitting card is Karn. I think we keep this. We have a turn 3 Karn. Yeah, taxes. So Janshavik over on YouTube asked me about taxes, and I think I stated this earlier. I'm not a huge fan of taxes, especially in Modern. Like, your black-white taxes is much more something that I could play than the mono-white taxes variants. It's just that deck seems so bad. Looking for mana acceleration or... I think I bought on that one. Relatively speaking, bad. Like, if the deck was good, it would be doing well in more than just one person's hand. And everybody goes on hot runs. You know, the Masters can get the most out of decks. Like, I can get a lot out of Burn sometimes when Burn's not well positioned in the meta. That doesn't mean the deck's good. So, we could potentially die next turn. There are turn 3 draws for Ad Nauseam. If they go land, Simian Spirit Guide, and have the combo, we could be dead here. And I'm not saying it's not, but most of the time, the decks that I prefer to play just dumpster it. So, yeah, we're dead here, probably, most likely. Sometimes your opponent just has the turn 3 not draw, and you're dead. We'll let them do a deck tech for us here. Prison party, indeed. Not much. But I always, like, what does the average pilot do with a deck? Like, to me, Snow is so powerful that even the average pilot can do well with it. Taxes is a deck that you have to... It's similar to decks like Nikachu and Merfolk. Like, Nikachu can do well with Merfolk, and maybe M. Hayashi will occasionally 5-0 with a Merfolk list. But, you know, in the end, they're not Tier 1, Tier 1-5, even necessarily Tier 2 decks. They're decks that you get an edge from people not understanding the interactions, and the decks, you know, that kind of stuff. So letting Lightning Storm happen, we're most likely dead, but this is how you force a ad nauseum player to go through the motions here. Well, to me, the newer versions of Snow aren't busted. They're good. Like, they're a little bit more weaker to Blood Moon. They're a little bit... and a lot of people have actually moved away from... We have no hope of winning this. I'm just forcing them to go through the motions. I happen to have played quite a bit of a Nauseam back circa 2016, so I'm fairly familiar with the Lightning Storm version of things. Presume you have another line to pitch. Yeah. There, it should be on the screen. Is there no Stream Decker? Why isn't Stream Decker working? Oh no, it's there. Cardboard Live is in the left-hand corner. Alright, I'll take a sec so you can take a look at it. It's basically just a bunch of mana acceleration. Hey, no problem. Not like I'm sideboarding anything in this matchup anyway. It's one of those matchups where Blood Moon and Karn are your cards. And Staring Bridge, like, what could we board out for Staring Bridge? Relics, maybe? But then that interferes with what we're trying to chalice, so... Torpor Orb, I guess we could board in one, but then they win with Lightning Storm. Okay, yes, we'd like to be on the play. Turn 3 Karn, hopefully. Seems reasonable enough. For-profit prison. We're trying, but it's not the easiest. This is one of those decks that I greatly respect the people that piloted it all the time, like Mr. Jangles. So... to answer your question, War Dog, I wanted a simple deck tonight after playing Alurin for 3+ hours. Well, the recent 5-0 lists have been Mr. Jangles. I know Fluffy Wolf plays it too. Unfortunately, we got dumpstered round 1 by Urza. Part of it was they just had basic island both games. And then part of it was just we mulliganed to 5. And our opponent was basically crap talking. They're like, well, if you Blood Moon didn't work game 1, what makes you think it'll work game 2? Well, I mulliganed to 5, and it's the play I had. Make sure we're not disconnected here. So ideally, we'd like to Karn 3. So we're looking for another mana source. Okay, they're mulliganing. Never mind. Just make sure I didn't DC. Opponent is mulliganing to 5. And alright. Zalfron Void. It's a dangerous one, but I think we gotta keep it. Turn 2 Karn, go. Start blowing your lands up on 3. Oh no, Lotus, I'm almost insulted. And notably, they can't, Pact of Negation this turn. Grab the liquid metal coating, and well, I wouldn't say my opponent was rude. I think it was more snarky. Like, Prison is one of those decks that kind of like Tron and sometimes Burn, people just really don't like to play against those kind of decks. And honestly, the games are so one-sided, it's kind of redonkulous. Like, either I blow you out, or I die a very pathetic death. Like, these are one of these decks that you just can't, like, you just can't, like, get too attached to the results with a deck like this. I think this is the first time I've played the deck with the London Mulligan, so that certainly helps, but it's like, this is one of those decks that, okay, you mulligan to 6 against an unknown opponent, you can play a quick Ensnaring Bridge. Is that good enough? Well, if I'm against Jund or a control deck, they really don't care about Ensnaring Bridge terribly much. But if I'm, you know, against humans, Ensnaring Bridge game 1 could be game over. You know, that's the thing with this deck, is you're just like, okay, here's my hand. Game 1, I'm praying my turn 2 Blood Moon or my turn 3 Chandra on the play is good enough against your whatever random X strategy. I think the level of disdain has gone down for Infect because Infect has kind of disappeared from the meta. So, opponent chooses to play first. Do we keep his hand on the strength of turn 1 Chalice? So we're on the draw, so we're already kind of down efficiency. I think this is a hand we're supposed to throw back, but it could... I don't know. This is a hand that could be like Dece game 1, but could also be terrible. So I'm going to mulligan. We're here to do explosive things. Let's do explosive things. Keep. Cancel. Alright, so what am I putting on the bottom here? Karn, maybe? I feel like that's good against a blue deck, but I feel like we want to bottom that all the same. Looks like our opponent doesn't particularly care about that. See if our opponent fetches up basics. Nope! Well, I mean, sure. I guess Ren and 6 could beat us potentially with a bunch of bolts. Or they have Force of Negation and they just don't care. Yep. They have Force of Negation and they just don't care. Looks like Temur Shift or Temur Rack. We're not really sure which. Unfortunately, they're a Force of Negation deck, which is just bad for us. Move on here. We shot our bullet and it failed. The rest of our hands kind of against what they're doing. Probably want to bring in the relics. Chalice is okay, but not like great against them. Ensnaring Bridge isn't fantastic against them. In other words, what I'm saying is a good, like, half of our deck is garbage against them. They probably have Uros and Coatls. Or maybe just Uros. Chalices are probably fine. Go down a bridge. Go down a chalice. Go down on a braid. Keep that. This hand doesn't do anything, right? Like, we need another land before we can do anything, and Spyro's kind of whatever. This hand is a turn 2 Blood Moon, which I guess will have to be good enough. I'll put back in Stern Bridge here. Relic on 1. Pretty good one. Thanks, I appreciate that. So what content actually brought you to the channel? Uh-oh, they've got all the islands in the world. Yay, islands. Well, I mean, we're winning those, right? So I'm curious how our whatchamacallit opponent beats a Awakened Inferno. Fact or fiction? Ether Gust. Don't really care about Field of the Dead, do we? So I definitely want to keep the basic forest separate from the other stuff. I think we give them that. Let's see if they take the Force of Negation here. Because the Ether Gust is really the only card in this pile we care about outside the basic forest. We took Ether Gust and Remand. Okay. So they already have a Fortification in hand? Return to Field the Dead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're a Reclamation deck. Gotcha. counterspell bait, or yeah, kind of whatever. It's a little less so in Modern, because Modern has a lot of other stuff going on, but it can be pretty obnoxious sometimes. Let's see if they are smart enough to realize they need to counter this. They are not. Okay. Guess if they have Bold, it could die. Yep, we got a lot of scrying going here. For the most part. Yeah, let's just move on. These Wilderness Wreck decks are just stupid and nonsensical, so I think they've taken over for Bant, and Sultai is the most obnoxious deck in the format. So, I haven't always been a red mage per se. For a good portion of my first foray into Modern on Magic Online, I played a lot of Ad Nauseam, and during so we are on the draw. We have no fast mana. I think this hand's a mulligan. This hand is very good if Chalice is good, I suppose. Put back Spyro. What am I putting back here? It's a red source. That's a red source. Guess I put back Desperate Rit for right now. Being on the draw here is going to kind of suck. I'm getting Infect vibes for some reason. Nope, Ponza. So Chalice on 1 is not great here, neither is Blood Moon. But I still think we Chalice on 1. But during Affinity, or during Eldrazi winter, I played a lot of Affinity, and then after that, I kind of varied for a while. Once I was on Ban Eldrazi for a while, and then sure, blow up a land, cool. We'll just sit here and do nothing for a while, as Gruul does Gruul things. Ponza, not Pawns, was a label, something to do with Italian sandwich or something. Whoever named the original deck was like so many parts meat, so many parts this, so many parts that, and that's why they named it the way it was. Don't think we actually have anything to board in this matchup. Like, relics aren't good. I guess we could bring in Anger. Anger can be pretty reasonable in some spots against them. Dragon's Claw, Torpor Orb. I don't think Torpor Orb does a whole lot here. Blood Moon's not fantastic. So I can see shaving a couple of those for the Angers of the Gods. It's all good. Basically, it was an Italian thing that had like 30% this, 30% that, 33% this, 33% that, 33% that. And the deck was like originally like 20 lands, 20 creatures, and 20 spells. And it played like Stone Rains and Molten Rain, as well as what does this hand do? We have a fast ensnaring bridge, but that doesn't do much. So hand also doesn't do much. This hand has like turn 2 Blood Moon, which is terrible in this matchup. But is turn 3 Karn really a whole lot better? I guess it'll have to be Blood Moon and that. Hope we can go turn 3 Karn into turn 4 Bridge and hope that's good enough for a while. I don't think it's going to be, but that's the game plan we have with this hand. Blow up a land? No, it looks more like Klothys. Klothys is annoying, but it's also kind of whatever. So it looks like they're going to hit us with a BBE here. Maybe a... Glory Bringer. Possible I was supposed to down tick and grab. It looks like they're gonna have. I'm just gonna be able to natty get rid of it. I guess I was just supposed to down tick and grab whatever. Snaring bridge here. Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes. Bone Crusher Giant's another pretty good design. Most of the adventure creatures are pretty reasonable. Like, that whole set had, like, I think Oko and Once Upon a Time were just... If that Karn had lived, we'd be in so much better shape. I was just being given a friendly reminder of why these decks just aren't good. That's an interesting question. So magic-wise, probably... at this point, either Aspiring Spike, Covert Go Blue, or... yeah, we're just dead here. I used to like Hooglin, but he's just gotten too... From a pure content standpoint, I liked Hooglin, but Hooglin just got too political and polarizing for my taste a lot of the times. So I'd probably say Aspiring Spike, Reed Duke, or Covert Go Blue, depending on what I'm watching. As far as other content creators, there's an entrepreneurship and YouTube person I like. His name is Roberto Blake. And then there's another one, I can't remember off the top of my head. Patrick, what is his name? Patrick David Betts? Patrick Bet David. He is an Iranian immigrant who is one of the better entrepreneurs in the United States. And he has a lot of interesting guests and a lot of interesting content in that field. He had several sit-down interviews with Kobe Bryant, which were amazing. He's had several sit-down interviews with some mobsters, or former mobsters, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I watch a variety of content. Most of my stuff tends to be centered around... So this is a... turn to genre? I guess that's good enough. I'm not sure which one of these cards is our best payoff here. So it looks like we're up against Jund or Jund's Shadow. Never mind. JK, we're up against Gruul again. Which means Chalice on 0 doesn't do anything. So I watch a variety of content. I do magic. I obviously watch magic stuff. I watch historical stuff, and I watch entrepreneurship stuff, as well as some anime stuff. So I tend to do a lot of things. So Karn. Fortunately, I can't cast Karn, so just gonna have to be Ensnaring Bridge. From a purely entertainment standpoint, I honestly like CGB a little bit better, but I would say that Reed and Aspiring Spike are a little bit better in terms of I wondered if they had a bolt hanging out. Just hold on to the braid here. Sure. So we're just going to find a way to beat this Clothis, which albeit is not the best. Care about Blood Moon. Proceed to draw. He says as he proceeds to draw another Blood Moon. The local state university here in Ohio, called Youngstown State. At least this is far more of an interesting game than we played the first match with Gruul. I don't know if we're going to win, but it's at least interesting. Yeah, that's an annoying card. Alright, so you're saying we're probably skewered here. We've already lost. Well, we've already exiled one of our Karns. You realize I can just like do this in response, right? Another Spyro. That's annoying. What, one more? Not exactly the most exciting game of Magic this deck does not present, does it? Yeah, that's a card. See if they go after Chandra or if they go after me. presume you go after. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna go after Chandra. That's fine, I guess. Doesn't really accomplish much. How many of my things actually are on 2 here? Quite a few of my cards are actually on 2. So... If our opponent's smart, they're just going to realize that we're dead to their activation plus attack. I think they might be getting distracted by planeswalkers. Nope, they finally realize that face is the place for the helpful hardware place. Chandra's Awakened Inferno. Doesn't particularly do a whole lot here. That'd be a good card, except we're just dead to Klothys. So... Well, not only is Glory Banger scary, but the fact that they play main deck Artifact Destruction means even when we actually have our good draws, we're just... Bring in the Relics to kind of fight Klothys. Not the best thing in the world. I'm just bring in 2 of those, go down to 4 Blood Moons, because Blood Moon's just terrible against another Blood Moon deck. Well, the problem is we needed both Relic and Bridge, and not have enough cards in our hand for it to matter. This hand's just terrible. This hand's not exciting, but I think we keep it. Definitely don't want the 3rds all from the board. Of course they have the turn 1 main accelerator, why wouldn't they, right? Leash shuts off bolt. Never mind. You just have Cinder Vines. I'm an idiot. Should just plus for mana there. Clothis, sure. Okay. They have a relevant play here. We're probably just dead. How many times are you going to play into Chalice, friends? Yeah, hopefully they don't, just going to end up dying to this Clothis anyway, so I'm not really sure what our opponent's complaining about. If I had kept that Karn around, we could have... I don't even know. Oop. Not casting Relic into my own Chalice on the Void. Sure. Bolt to get in more damage with your Clothis. Alright, Sklothus has nothing to chomp on this turn. He has land, but those don't deal us damage, so. Just make the emblem, that way nothing dumb can happen here. We go to 1. They draw a stomp or something? Pillage? Alright, Spyro is a thing. Means we're dead next turn if we can't kill them. $15, 17. Are we just exactly gonna kill them? 6, 7, 8, 9. So 15, 17. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana. Is there something in my... Yeah, I can just grab whatever. Yeah, that's fine. You Opponent saw the writing on the wall. We may not win this match, but that was at least fun. Still don't think Dragon's Claw is worth it. Relic's still kind of questionable to me with us wanting to chalice them on 1. She's not better, but she serves a unique purpose that Mind Sculptor doesn't. This hand doesn't do anything, so pretty easy mulligan. Well, not easy, but a mulligan we have to take, I should say. This hand does nothing. We have no mana sources to speak of. This hand's terrible. And... keep. Put back a Braid. Chandra. They're on the Birds of Paradise plan. Interesting. Chalice actually would have been pretty decent here. So it looks like they might have kept a one-lander. Dragon's Claw, sure. Think this is the wrong matchup for that one. Definitely think this is the wrong matchup for Dragon's Claw. Not that it matters when we mulligan a 4, but... Pillage? Nope, Spyro. Okay. Sure. Yep, our mana problems are now solved. Kind of an anticlimactic ending to this deck, unfortunately. Not that I'm shocked, but... Alright, glad I got that one out of my system. There's a different deck out there. Let's see if I can find it. That runs it. Can't find it, but it's like a prison deck that's more aggressive. It's got like Eidolon and Ash Zealots, Leyline of Combustion, Blood Moon, Torbrand. They call it Punisher Red. I've only seen it once or twice. But, anywho, back to this deck. So this deck is trying to do similar things to what Mono Red Prison does in Legacy, only obviously much less effectively. You know, if whatever hand you mulligan to that particular piece of like heat isn't good, you don't tend to do well. We played against an Urza deck that was very much ready for Blood Moon on 1, whatever. Played against 2 Gruul decks where a lot of our strategy is like half of what they're trying to do already. We beat ad nauseum because Karn the Great Creator they can't beat pretty much, especially a fast one. And then the other matchup was Temur Rek, which was, you know, we got them with Blood Moon, but when they're packing like a bunch of Ether Gusts, you know, our plan kind of goes out the window a little bit, as long as they get 1 blue source in play even. So, and they have Force of Negation. This is a deck you pick up when you want to do busted stuff, but understand that if your busted stuff isn't good enough, you're just dead. Not much more to say about it than that. Deck's a lot of fun. It's kind of a palate cleanser after playing some Learn in Legacy last night, after playing some Team Reclamation and Historic for some other stuff today. So this deck was more of a palate cleanser than anything. I think tomorrow night we'll get back to the normal stuff. We'll get back to Burner Prowess tomorrow night. Just wanted to try something a little bit differently tonight and see how it went. But I want to thank everybody for hanging out tonight. I'm going to kind of call it a little bit of an early night. I'm kind of tired. Was up early in the AM, taking my girlfriend to a doctor's appointment today. So, been a long day. But this deck was a blast to play. Results weren't great, but, you know, as they say in a lot of descriptions, results may vary. It happens sometimes. Sometimes you just gotta have a little bit of fun. But tomorrow night we'll get back to the grind. We'll start playing some more serious decks like Burn. I think in the next couple days I want to play like some Burn and Grixis Death Shadow. Kind of go from there. So, anyways, I want to thank everybody for hanging out. Once again, if you're new to the channel, please consider giving us a follow as we do a lot of modern content here. My goal is to try to stream until at least New Year's Eve. As far as every night for the next like 4 months or so, 5 months I guess it is technically. So that's the kind of the goal. Kind of do a Caleb D-esque thing where try to stream every night at least a little bit and try to get as much content out there as possible. And we should hit affiliate after tonight's stream. So I want to thank everybody for making that possible. Thank everybody over on the YouTube channel. And thank everybody that's been hanging out tonight. Hope everybody has a great evening. This has been John for MTG Nexus.